Hello, and welcome to the Precipice Fund Round 15 Grant Information Session. My name is Elio Quesada, and I am the Programs Manager at PICA, and I also do the administration for the Precipice Fund. So today I'm going to be going through this presentation with you about the Precipice Fund application. So again, this presentation is designed to help you determine whether the Precipice Fund is the right fit for you and your project, as well as your collaborators. We know that preparing a grant takes a lot of time and care, so we appreciate your efforts that go into your proposal. Our goal here is to explain not only what the program funds, but also the values that shape our decisions. So today, what you'll learn in this presentation is what the Precipice Fund supports, who is eligible, what's new in round 15, how projects are reviewed, how to prepare a strong application, and what happens after funding. So what is the Precipice Fund? The Precipice Fund is administered by PICA as part of the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts Regional Regranting Program, and this year with additional support from the Ford Family Foundation. So round 15 will award grants of $500 to $5,000, distributing $145,000 in total to artist-led visual art initiatives in and around Portland. Why does this fund exist? The Precipice Fund was created to support forms of artistic organizing that often fall outside of traditional funding structures. Artist collectives, temporary initiatives, collaborative projects, independent publishers, and artist-run spaces all contribute to Portland's visual arts ecology. So this fund exists to strengthen that ecosystem by investing directly in artists organizing with and for one another. What makes this fund different, though, is that it's not for individual artist fellowships or general operating support. This fund focuses on collaborative artist-led projects that create meaningful public experiences. There's a big emphasis on experimentation, shared authorship, and building opportunities for artists and audiences. There's definitely something new this round. Round 15 introduces expanded support from the Ford Family Foundation. This additional funding increases the program's ability to support artist-run spaces and exhibition projects, while still remaining grounded in the same artist-centered mission that has guided the Precipice Fund since its beginning. So let's figure out if this grant is right for you. So before beginning your application, you should ask yourself these questions. Is your project rooted in visual art? Is your project a collaborative project? Will it include a meaningful public component? And can it be completed during the 2027 grant period? If you've answered yes, then this grant will be great for you. So what do we mean by visual art? The Precipice Fund supports projects rooted in contemporary visual art. Interdisciplinary work is welcome when visual art remains central to the project's ideas, methods, and public presentation. So this still can include film, sound, and performance. You just need to make sure that visual art is very central to the project in general, rather than it being an additional aspect to the project. So what is a project? For the Precipice Fund, we're looking for a project that is collaboratively organized in visual art that culminates in a public outcome. Projects may include exhibitions or publications, screenings, installations, social practice, gatherings, digital platforms, performances, again, rooted in visual art traditions. And we definitely have an expanded definition of, visual art in these projects. So every project should be demonstrated to demonstrate an organizing responsibility, a clear scope, a realistic plan and timeline, and a meaningful public engagement component of the project. Public component. Every funded project must include an opportunity for some type of public engagement. This could be an exhibition, publication, workshop, screening, a gathering, an online platform even. That's another way to gather. An open studio, an installation. Um, so there's a variety of ways to include this public component into your project. Some examples of projects include an artist organized exhibition, a collaborative publication, a neighborhood-based social practice project, an experimental screening series, a temporary installation with public programming. The list also goes on. There's a variety of things that a group can build together. So some real case examples are Society, Gathering Clouds, Uwu and Friends, Burning and Building Bridges, and Asian Zine Fest. And we'll go into each of those. So Society. Society is an artist-run space. It hosts exhibitions and screenings, talks with artists and scholars. It also produces a journal by the same name of Society, um, with writings and projects by artists and art historians. Um, it also has a website where it publishes reviews and essays and other responses to art. So um, Society is definitely an example of an artist-run space. They would be a great contender for the artist-run track that we have that's new this year, and we'll go more into that later on in the presentation. But as you can see, they have a variety of different uh, ways that their project takes place. Exhibition, a journal, something printed, and also a website. Gathering Clouds. Gathering Clouds is a series of ritualized refugees that investigate the cityscape that hampers communities from accessing green spaces to lay down in peace, identify refugees, and create temporary pavilions that welcome everyone to gather and ask questions to the clouds. So this is a project that was more esoteric in idea, and also a form of gathering as their public component. So another variety in a project. Some examples of what was created from Gathering Clouds project also led to some printed work, some physical work, rather than just the art of gathering itself. Ulu and Friends is a socially engaged multidisciplinary nightlife event series um, made to uplift Portland's QT, BIPOC, and TGNC communities. This project was actualized a co-imagined world through site-specific collaboration, performance art, installation, and music. So free collaborative events are central to their mission. They aim to highlight local artists from underrepresented groups in various disciplines, from socially engaged art, installation, healing arts to DJing. So um, a variety of different forms that this project took as well, from the socially engaged art, installation, um, music, performance art, also a big aspect of this project. Example of their work. Okay, Burning and Building Bridges, a pocket manual for community responsive artists. This project is a resource designed to empower and support community responsive artists. in Portland as they navigate the complexities of money, institutions, conflict, harm, and collaboration. It's compiled from reflections and lessons learned by local artists involved in local community projects. It offers practical insights and strategies. The guide also provides questions, definitions, and exercises, fueling artists to foster meaningful connections and enhance their collaborative efforts alongside their communities. So this is an example of a printed collaborative project that these artists made together. So you can see in the bottom right um, their their zine that was made in together. And going next to Asian Zine Fest. This one was a community-oriented one-day zine festival located in the heart of East Portland, organized by a group of local Asian American artists. It was hosted in the vacant storefronts and hallways of Fubon Shopping Center, a commercial hub for Asian immigrant and Asian American communities. Um, Asian Zine Fest provided shoppers and community members with a unique chance to connect with local Asian artists. So this is an example of another printed um, project, but more focused on community and highlighting the location specifically for this project. So there's some images from their completed project. So looking at projects that aren't a fit, the Precipice Fund does not support individual studio practice, commercial ventures, nonprofit core programming, projects without a public component, or applications submitted through fiscal sponsorship. These limitations help the program remain focused on independent, collaborative, artist-led initiatives. So going to collaboration. Collaboration really matters and is very central to the Precipice Fund. Every application must include between 2 and 6 collaborators. Collaboration means sharing responsibility for shaping, organizing, and carrying out the project, not simply participating in it. And definitely the Precipice Fund really highlights collaboration again as a central thing to this project. It's really important for those involved in the project who are main collaborators to talk amongst yourselves and really determine what your responsibilities are, the sharing of responsibilities, the organizing, creating timelines together, um, agreeing upon timelines and agreeing upon how budgets are spent, um, and really again like working it's very much working collaboratively in this project together. So the collaborators in your project are the primary contact and your collaborators. The primary contact only serves as the like administrative liaison with PICA staff, so with myself or with Kristen Kennedy, our artistic director. This role does not indicate a specific artistic leadership. There's no main artist within this project. Again, it's only for admin purposes, communication purposes. Collaborators are the people sharing the organizing responsibility again. So, again, primary contact and collaborators are seen as equals. Um, Artists who are simply exhibiting work should not be listed as collaborators unless they are also organizing the project. So say your project is a exhibition and you have 3 collaborators who are organizing it. You're planning the logistics of it. You're getting the venue. You're paying your photographers and such like that. And you are inviting artists to be exhibiting their work in that exhibition. Those artists are just involved in the exhibition. If they're not uh, planning all the logistics that I mentioned before. So those artists would not be considered collaborators. A little more details on the primary contact. They must reside in Portland, Oregon, or in adjacent Oregon suburbs. Um, and collaborators can be based anywhere. They can be based in Oregon, or they can be based, on the East Coast. That is very open. Um, the only person who would need to be uh living in Portland would be the primary contact so that you could be eligible for this grant. Funding priorities. The Precipice Fund supports projects that are innovative, artist-led, collaborative, and rooted in visual art. Reviewers look for proposals that create opportunities for artists, encourage experimentation, engage the public, and contribute to Portland's independent visual arts ecology. So going through these priorities, we have experimentation and risk. Experimentation does not necessarily mean using new technology or unfamiliar materials. It means pursuing ideas that expand artistic practice, test new ways of working together, or create space for dialogue and discovery. We encourage applicants to define experimentation on their own terms. Another priority is artist-led practice, of course. The strongest proposals are shaped by artists. Artist-led means artists are actively making decisions about the project's vision, organization, and implementation rather than simply participating in a program designed by others. Public engagement, I've mentioned this earlier in the presentation, but public engagement is very important. It can take many forms. Reviewers are interested in thoughtful approaches that connect artists and audiences through exhibitions, publications, workshops, screenings, conversations, and so on. Accessibility. It should be considered from the beginning of your project planning. Think about physical access, language, cost, communication, scheduling, documentation, and how different audiences will experience the work. Communities and representation. The Precipice Fund encourages proposals led by and centered within communities that have been historically marginalized. When a proposal seeks to serve a particular community, applicants should demonstrate meaningful relationships, lived experience, or accountability within that community. So this is the artist run space and exhibition track. Um, Round 15 includes this expanded funding through the Ford Family Foundation for established run spaces and exhibition projects. This new track expands what the fund can support without changing the program's overall mission or values. One criteria for this track within the Precipice application is that spaces need to have been open and showing work for at least 1 year. Um, if you have more questions about this tract, I think we'll be going a little bit more into it, but also um, there are Q&A sessions where we can set up some time to ask more questions. So what is an artist-run space? An artist-run space is a collaboratively organized physical or mobile site dedicated to presenting visual art to the public on an ongoing basis. Eligible spaces should have at least 1 year of documented programming, operate independently, and devote a substantial portion of their programming to Oregon artists. What doesn't qualify as an artist-run space? Private studios, commercial galleries, rental venues, and temporary pop-ups without a history of programming generally do not qualify. The emphasis is on sustained public engagement and long-term support for artists. What is an exhibition project? An exhibition project under this track presents visual art within a defined curatorial or organizing framework. Projects should demonstrate organizational experience, public accessibility, and meaningful opportunities for Oregon artists. So choosing the right track. Most applicants will apply through the standard project track. The way the application is set up is you, for either track, you answer all the questions in the application, and then there is an area where you can notify us if you're interested in the artist run and exhibition project track, and you just simply click yes or no, and then write in a few more details, and then we will consider you for this artist run and exhibition track. Um, Again, applications with established artist run spaces or qualifying exhibition initiatives can choose this track. Questions to ask yourself. Does your proposal align with the program's priorities? Does it clearly explain why the work matters, who serves it, and how it contributes to Portland's visual arts community? If so, you can begin your application. So preparing your application. Before you start your application, please read the guidelines and watch this video as you're doing now. We really see that stronger applications clearly explain your project, why it matters, who is organizing it, how the public will experience it and engage in it. Um, and and those who watch the video or read the guidelines very in depth um, usually have stronger applications because they understand what the panelists are looking for in these applications. Um, and also yes, writing for a panel, so avoid assuming that reviewers already know your work or your organization. You're going to include a project and title description. So please choose a title that reflects your project. Your description should explain what you're proposing, again, who is involved, what will happen, where it'll take place, why the project is important, who it will impact. Your statement of artistic intent is important and an opportunity for you to describe the ideas driving your project. Please explain what questions the work is going to explore, why the approach is meaningful, and how collaboration shapes the outcome. Public engagement, again, a core thing in this grant. Describe how it will how audiences will encounter your work. Explain what people will experience, who the intended audience is, what plans for accessibility you have, and the participation plans that you have for the public as well. Timeline is very important to show because it can provide that it can show the panelists that this is a realistic timeline, this is a realistic project that you can produce and present and complete within the 2027 grant period. It also will help you understand what is achievable in your project. Building a budget, your budget should tell the story of your project. Your budget should tell what you value within your project. Um, eh, you're going to be, I'm sure, giving yourself an artist fee, your collaborators an artist fee, any other artists involved that you're presenting maybe, or photographers, or if your public component has a DJ or some type of performer, your budget should reflect that you are paying yourself, paying these other artists, paying some hospitality, and these show that the panelists that these are things that you value. These are things within the story of your project. Um, Again, yes, labor, paying artists for their labor, and then max funding for each project is $5,000. And there is a budget template that is available on the Precipice Fund application website that you will need to use in your application, and it'll have the categories for you to list all these other things that I've just mentioned. So the eligible use of these funds, they can go to supporting artist fees, fabrication, installation, publications, accessibility services, documentation, venue rental, transportation, shipping, admin, outreach, um, and other expenses that are directly related to the proposed project. So really like flesh these out as you're going through them. Think about all the things that you'll need to cover within your project. Because things will come up and you realize, oh, I didn't think about this beforehand. So really sit down and try to, with all your team, your collaborators, really try to nail down all the things that you'll need to cover within your project. And again, like projects shift and things that you'll need to purchase or cover within these funds can shift, and that's okay. So just think about having maybe like a contingency within your funds about how you can move money around to cover the things that you need to cover within your project. Expenses that cannot be funded with this grant. The Precipice Fund does not support personal living expenses unrelated to the project, debt repayment, fundraising activities, or costs that fall outside the approved grant period unless specifically authorized. Your work samples are going to be really important in your application. Please select work samples that help reviewers understand your project and your collaborative practice. Quality is more important than quantity. Include materials that clearly connect to the proposal whenever possible. And you're able to include images and video, um, and you can upload those within the application. How applications are reviewed. Applications are reviewed by a multidisciplinary panel of artists, curators, organizers, writers, and art professionals. These panelists discuss every eligible proposal and consider each application in relation to the goals of the fund. Our panel is composed of a past Precipice Fund recipient, a regional cultural worker, and a visiting professional who runs a sister regranting program within the Andy Warhol regranting program. Something very important is that PICA staff are not on the review panel. I simply serve as an administrator, so I'm doing paperwork for this grant, but no PICA staff are on the review panel. Other things that the panel considers, they consider the artistic vision, clarity of purpose, public engagement, readiness, realistic budgeting, and alignment within the values of the Precipice Fund. There is no single formula for a successful proposal, but clarity and thoughtful planning consistently strengthen applications. Consider that you are explaining your project to someone who does not have intimate knowledge about your project. So think about what is the most compelling things for them to know and highlight those throughout your application. Many applications are not funded because the proposal does not clearly explain collaboration, the public engagement component, or how the budget supports the project. So those are three areas that you really want to highlight within your application. And we recommend having someone read your application before you submit it so they can come up with questions, maybe see things that you don't see, and you can go back and edit. After funding. Receiving a Precipice Fund grant begins a new phase of the project. So grantees are expected to carry out the project as described in your application. Um, and if anything changes, if timeline changes, if things in your budget are changing, we really want to know. And it's great if you reach out to us before any of those changes start happening. It's okay if they do start happening before so, but as early as communication as possible, please reach out to us so we can be there for support. If you receive the Precipice Fund as a grantee, you will have responsibilities. So recipients are responsible for keeping complete financial records, tracking project expenses, and documenting how grant funds are distributed. We strongly encourage collaborators to discuss these responsibilities earlier, create a shared budget, and consider a memorandum of understanding so everyone understands their roles. We also highly recommend planning and attending checkpoint meetings within your group, and then also as Precipice Fund administrator, I and PICA will host midpoint check-in meetings throughout the year as well. So again, I want to really highlight the second bullet point here that again discuss with amongst yourselves the responsibilities early, really create that shared budget and tracking expense report together, uh, create your timeline together, write a memorandum of understanding or a contract together, um, through the administrative part. PICA will present you with a contract between us and your collaborative team. So there will be some things laid out within that contract that you will need to be responsible for. Again, the distributing of funds, um, the reporting at the end of the year. But it is really important as a collaborative group that you also discuss and share these responsibilities and agree upon them together early on. Payment. Grant payments may be issued to any listed grantee, including the primary contact or another collaborator. So when we issue payment, it can be split and distributed among all the collaborators. It can be sent to just one collaborator. It really depends on your group's preference. Maybe some folks have can take on the financial responsibility. So discuss that and decide that together. And then your collaborators, again, you're going to decide who will receive the funds, and then you will notify us through a Google form that I will send out later on. And we will also provide you with payment instructions and an estimated payment timeline on our end. Project changes. I highlighted this a little bit earlier, but again, artist-led projects naturally evolve. If significant changes to the project scope, collaborators, budget, timeline, or location become necessary, please contact us before those changes occur. We're often able to work with grantees to adapt projects while preserving the intent of the funded proposal. Acknowledging support. Recipients agreed to acknowledge support from the Precipice Fund and public communications. PICA will provide the required acknowledgement language along with logos and guidance for any printed and digital materials. Final reporting. A final report is required at the end of the grant period. Reports generally include a narrative summary, documentation of public activities, attendance or participation information, images, and a final expense summary. So again, be taking record of your finances, continue to track them. It's good to have a budget tracking and expense report. And then also be compiling documentation, photography, video, any information that you gather from your meetings, your public components. These reports, in the end, help to improve rounds of the program in the future and demonstrate the impact of artist-led work here in Portland. Here is an important timeline for you. As you know, applications are open. They opened August 10th. This required information session is now available. We have 3 dates that you can sign up for additional like Q&A conversations: August 21st, 25th, and September 17th. If you go to the Precipice application webpage, you can find the link to sign up for a time slot. If there are no other time slots available, or those times and dates don't work in your schedule, you can email me at precipice@pica.org to set up an appointment. The Precipice applications close September 20th. The panel reviews them early November, and then recipients will get notifications mid-November. There'll be a public announcement early December, and then the grant period will start January of 2027. And that is when you will also receive funds would be in January of 2027. And then final reports would be due December of 2027. A few frequently asked questions. Can collaborators live outside of Oregon? Yes, only the primary contact must reside in Oregon. Can my project change? Yes, but please communicate with us. Can I apply again? Yes, but with a little more information, funded applicants must skip one funding round before reapplying. Unsuccessful applicants may apply again in the next round. So, for example, if you are awarded the grant this coming year of 2027, you would have to wait 1 year until you would be able to apply. So if you were awarded in 2027, you would have to wait until 2029 to apply again. Again, if you are unsure whether your project is eligible, please reach out. Watch this recorded session. You can look at if you have very specific areas that you need addressed. You can email me at precipice at pica.org, and we can set up a time again to talk. And thank you so much for watching this information session. Thank you for considering the Precipice Fund. We appreciate your time that you invest not only in learning about the Precipice Fund, but in building Portland's visual arts community. It's very important, and we're here to support, and we look forward to learning about your ideas and your collaborations and reviewing your application. So thank you very much.